Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Salt Lake City Snowhawks expansion franchise here on Madden 25. It's week 18 of this year 4 season, and playoffs are still at stake as our Salt Lake City Snowhawks entering this week at third in the NFC, currently holding the NFC West division lead as we've gone from third pick to third seed in just a matter of a few weeks. Our Salt Lake City Snowhawks now at 8-7, a win here. We do clinch the division, a loss, and we need some things to work in our favor, but we are sitting pretty. The Vikings were eliminated last week with a loss as they now try to play spoiler. McCarthy, a career high, I think 17 interceptions this season, as we'll look to exploit him. Another road game here for our Snowhawks as we have now gone 6-1 since the bye week. And before we get into the action here in Minnesota, we'll take a look at the playoff picture as our Salt Lake City Snowhawks currently third, as we've gone from third pick to third seed in just a matter of a few weeks, as we would be hosting the Green Bay Packers if everything falls into place. Philadelphia has already secured the top seed, so they might be resting some starters this week. Detroit secured the second seed as they're set to face Tampa Bay, as this projects Tampa Bay getting the third wild card spot, as the Rams would actually be eliminated in this scenario, and also New Orleans projected to win the NFC South, which would put Tampa Bay into a wild card spot, because each of those teams enter the week at 8-8, and New Orleans actually does have the tiebreaker over us because they beat us in season. So I think with the New Orleans Saints loss, we clinch a wild card spot regardless of what we do, but we clinched the division and the third seed with a win, and we'll just take a look at the AFC as well. Houston set to host Miami. I didn't even know the Dolphins were still in it. Kansas City hosting Cincinnati, Buffalo hosting Indianapolis. The top seed Baltimore, who we actually did beat this year, as that was one of those games that got us back on track, as we've won now 6 out of our last 7 games. And now looking at the NFC standings overall, we have the Eagles and Lions at the top 2. As we said, the Cowboys do have that first wild card spot, so they're going to be the 5th seed, I think, regardless of what happens. And this is where it kind of gets tricky, because we have the Snowhawks and Packers at 9-7. We beat Green Bay a few weeks back, so we do have the tiebreaker over them. But the Saints have a tiebreaker over us. So if we were to lose and the Saints and Buccaneers won, one of those teams would go on to win the division. I'm not sure who, though, which does kind of make it tricky, because we definitely want the Saints to lose. And we also have the Bears and Rams lingering down here as we go over to the NFC West. So if we lose and the Rams win, they would pass us in the division, as they would have a better division record than we do. But look at that, a 5-game losing streak for them, as we now are on a 4-game winning streak, which has propelled the second half of the season, as we are going to just play the key moments in this one. Last time out, we did play the full game against Seattle, as we took that one in overtime. But I want to get better results here. I think we get better stats, better results when we go here and play full moments. So we're going to do that for this game. And again, a win clinches the division. A loss, and we definitely need New Orleans to lose. So I think a New Orleans loss and we clinch, and also a Rams loss, we clinch the division. So 2 teams that could help our cause. As now an early third down for Minnesota, as Zach Charbonnet does get the first down. So we're going to jump into this one early on. Minnesota's first drive of this Week 18 affair, as a good start out of the gate for McCarthy and co. Zach Charbonnet, the running back in his second season with Minnesota, needs 99 yards today to eclipse 1,000 for the first time, already 16, but that time went backwards a little bit. Now on 2nd and 11. McCarthy from the pocket, second read there towards the sideline, has a man open. That's Jordan Addison, as he needs, I think, 54 receiving yards to eclipse 1,000 for the first time in his career, as he gets 9 that time, up to 24 now. And now a 3rd and short inside the 10. McCarthy has Hawkinson as he catches that. Quay Walker draped on his back, but good perseverance through the catch that time for Hawkinson to hang on and moves the chains from Minnesota. Now 1st and goal at the 5. McCarthy again on a drop back. Decisive on that one, but a little inaccurate. The feet, I think Addison was the intended receiver. And then we see there McCaffrey. I don't know what happened, but I put him on the IR way back when, and it just has not allowed me to take him off the IR, which I don't understand, because I was able to do that with another player in season. That's McCarthy going to be brought down, trying to roll to his left. Bosa got in on the pressure, but Jalen Thompson, the seasoned veteran, a few interceptions on the season, I think a pair of pick sixes even, as he gets home on the sack. And hopefully that stalls this drive out. They have to go for a field goal inside the red zone. Now 3rd and goal at the 10. McCarthy dropping back further, scanning through the end zone. That's just out of the reach of TJ Hawkinson. Looked like a pretty good pass, but I guess a little high there for Hawkinson, who does have a nice catch radius, but not long enough that time, as Minnesota does get the 27-yard field goal. So We will just keep on here in this normal sim, at least normal sim pace, as Carlos Alvarez, our rookie receiver, 17 out of the gate. Then 3 yards for Bigsby, 2nd and 7, another 11 for Carlos Alvarez. Leads all receivers in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Now a 3rd and 9 for our Snowhawks, and they will throw us in for this one. 3rd and 9 from the 38-yard line. Our first look at Lucas McDonald, who has been absolutely phenomenal down the stretch of this season. Really has been the main cause of how we've been able to turn it around as he turned around his season. Now off the fake, and I don't know how he was brought down on the sack. That's Murphy. It looked like he was stepping up, was going to get that one off, but ran right into the defender. And that's a big reason why I'm just going to go to the key moment in this game. We've had so many instances of just huge sack numbers over this season when we've been doing the slow sim. So now another moment here, 3rd and 6 at the 50 for Minnesota as we try to stall out another drive, but this time out of field goal range. So now Minnesota from the logo, leading 3-0 early on here. McCarthy on the drop back, going to try and step up, being chased by Robinson, and he does throw that one away. So a great stop this time from our defense. They forced the punt. Our offense going to get the ball back. A chance to get on the scoreboard for the first time. They get a safety. What happened there? I have no idea what just happened, but somehow they got a safety. All I could think is they punted it, and our return man mishandled it back into the end zone. I have no idea what happened. That was super fluky, as it's now 5-0 Minnesota. I did not see that coming, but now in the red zone for Salt Lake City as we have a chance to take the lead. 1st and 10 at the 16 for Bigsby. Finds a nice lane. Tank Bigsby inside the 5 as he was brought down to the 4-yard line. His longest run was held in check prior to that, just 5 for 9. But that time gets most of his yardage on the day. Was brought down there by Eric Wimbley, rookie out of UCLA, 1st-round pick, named to the Pro Bowl. Now a 1st and goal at the 4. McDonald roll to the right, and again going to be brought down. Got to be more decisive on that. Just get rid of it. We had Alvarez kind of going towards the sideline, and that's Murphy again getting home for the sack. And now 2nd and goal at the 11. Vince Willis, the back. McDonald takes the snap. From the pocket, we'll get Willis there up the sideline. Vince Willis, only a couple as he tried to fight ahead, but nothing doing really. As now 3rd and goal at the 8 into the final 3.5 minutes of this first half here in Week 18. Going to be a very interesting halftime report we look at. A Rams loss or a Saints loss is what we need, but what we need right now is a Lucas McDonald touchdown run as he dives in for the score. Good job that time, not taking a sack this time. He's going to take that to pay dirt as we now jump on top 6-5. And maybe we go for the 2-point conversion, make it a field goal deficit potentially, but we do have the lead, and that's what's important. Now 3:12 remaining in this first half, as we are just going to opt for the field goal. Todd Hayes, our rookie kicker, made him the guy mid-season after Joshua Carty struggles, as Hayes that time, the extra point up and good. 9 plays, 73-yard drive. As now on the ensuing kickoff, we will just tune into the rest of this first half, just 3:12 remaining. We'll see what Minnesota does on offense, taking that out. On the return now, a good coverage as J.J. McCarthy will take over at the 26. And we see the receptions leaders around the NFL. Justin Jefferson 2nd at 104 as he surpassed 1,000 yards for the first time in a couple seasons. It was a long acclimation period, we'll say, between he and J.J. McCarthy to get some rapport going, but finally here they have some. Now just over 3 minutes remaining. Charbonnet going to be rocked that time in the backfield by Quay Walker. He has really picked up his play down the stretch, as have most of the players on this team. As it was like week 10 after the bye week, we just started clicking on all cylinders, and we have not looked back. And now a heavy front from Minnesota on the give for Charbonnet to the outside, and that's Nathan Scruggs, another one of our young defenders, his 2nd season, and he's really emerged as our top corner, which is going to ease the blow of losing Max Melton in free agency this upcoming offseason. Nathan Scruggs, 5 interceptions, leading our team among the league leaders, as that will take us into the 2-minute warning. A 7-5 lead here from Minnesota, as our Snowhawks trying to close this one out and secure our first ever, not only playoff appearance, but our first ever division title, as we're trying to go from the 3rd pick to the 3rd seed. And now 3rd and 13, the give for Charbonnet has a nice lane, and that will be closed up eventually. I think Max Melton in on the stop as the Snowhawks call a timeout. And now 1:51 remaining here in the half for Lucas McDonald to work a little 2-minute drill. Even a field goal, you'll take some points. Going to start at the 32-yard line. Tank Bigsby is the back. Carlos Alvarez in the slot. And now McDonald will just check that off for Tank Bigsby has some space to run as he'll take that up for about 8 or 9. 2nd and 1 now at the 41. Bigsby there in motion as he swings out. McDonald will check it over to him again, and he spins off a tackle. Great job there by Bigsby to keep the play moving. Turns a loss into a 5-yard gain as our right guard, Randy Samuels, looks like he's going to be taken out. So Isaiah Adams, longtime reserve here, will take his spot at the right guard position. And now 1st down at the 46. Now just 1 timeout remaining for the Snowhawks. There goes Mark Andrews up and back. McDonald, they just sent a blitzer, and Dontavion Wicks was not set yet. I guess a little premature on the delivery, but you got to expect it to be coming at you when the play is designed. And it's now 2nd down. McDonald over the middle of the field, and again behind Mark Andrews. He had him wide open, and we've seen a lot of inaccuracy issues with McDonald at times this season, although he has cleaned that up a lot in recent weeks. Now 1:08 remaining, 3rd down at the 46. Pressure coming off the edge, and again going to be brought down for the sack. I think the 3rd or 4th already now for Minnesota in this first half of play. Definitely have to improve our offensive line, but that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. When we do these slow simulations, there's just so many sacks. And now Matt Ariza on the punt from his own 30. That's going to go all the way back to the 13, 14-yard line for Minnesota, as J.J. McCarthy, probably the worst starting field position so far for Minnesota, back at their 19. As less than a minute left here. 2 timeouts to work with. A field goal gives them the lead going into halftime. McCarthy this time directly under center on the drop back. Goes to his 2nd read and has a man towards the sideline. That's for 6. That was former 1st-round pick Skylar Goddard, I believe, from back in year 1 out of Clemson. So between the 3 receivers on this team for Minnesota, all 1st-round guys, is McCarthy now going to scramble and will slide ahead. Does not get the 1st down, but a 3rd and 1 instead. As now they are going to audible as more time continues to tick off the clock. Now down to 23 seconds. McCarthy going to chuck that one for Skylar Goddard, and Max Melton there to knock it down. Jalen Thompson also in coverage as that forces a 4th down. So in the final seconds here, Minnesota will have to punt. See if we can make anything happen here. Good hang time as another fair catch. So 14 seconds now as the end of this half does not want to come to fruition yet, as we'll get another couple plays off, I would assume. Taking over at our 34. Can we get another late half play here? Carlos Alvarez, I feel like, has had a bunch this season. 12 touchdowns for the rookie out of Florida State. McDonald going down the field, and that was in the hands of Marvin Harrison Jr., but like swatted at it. Didn't reel that one in cleanly, as that would have propelled us further down the field. Maybe another big hit, we would have been in field goal range. Now just 10 seconds as we go conservative here for Tank Bigsby. A nice lane for Bigsby as he's past midfield into past the 40, now down to the 35-yard line. We go conservative, and it pays off in a big way. Bigsby, his biggest gain so far on the game, and he takes that all the way down to the 35, which would be a 53-yard field goal attempt, as we are going to bring out Todd Hayes. Would be his career long. Knocked in a 37-yarder last week to win in overtime. This one from 52. The kick is up, and it is no good, as Todd Hayes wide right, as that will bring us into halftime. Would have been a great spot there to get some more points going into halftime, but a low-scoring affair here from Minnesota. Our Snowhawks up 7-5, as the lone touchdown belongs to Lucas McDonald on that scramble there in the red zone, and a much-needed halftime report here. The Rams and Saints, we need to see those games right now. Hopefully they play to our interest, as our first look is going to be at the 49ers and Commanders. Really nothing doing here, as the 49ers are leading 14-10, but I think even with the win, they are out of playoff contention. What a fall from grace they've had, as they were leading the division most of the way. Now Jacksonville at Buffalo, so another game that doesn't really matter for us, although we do have Buffalo's 1st-round pick in the draft, but that looks like it's going to be getting a little bit better, as they're up 21-7. They're going into halftime. Now Seattle at Dallas. The Cowboys already have secured that top wild card seed, although they do fall here 20-17 to Seattle, as Gardner Minshew filling in for Byron Snow, as he left last week in our game there in the late stages in overtime. So we didn't get any clarity on what's going to happen here, so we just got to take matters into our own hands and finish this football game and come out with a win. A win, we clinch the 3rd seed. A loss, we need a loss from New Orleans and Los Angeles, but we don't even want to worry about that. We are in control of our own destiny, and we will finish the job here. So another key moment to start, as we did start the ball with at half. 3rd and 1 at Minnesota's 44-yard line. We'll just jump forward to the next play here. 3rd and short in enemy territory, trying to extend this 2-point lead to give for Bigsby. Maybe his best game so far on the season, as he will get ahead for the first 3 yards. Going ahead a little bit further, another 5 yards there for Bigsby. Now 2nd and 5. We get the first down, a 5-yard rush from McDonald there at quarterback, and then brought back by Dallas Turner, a 7-yard sack. And we get 14 yards on 3rd and 13 to get the first down. Just what we needed there from Carlos Alvarez. I think his 3rd or 4th catch already of this game. And now we'll play out this red zone appearance, trying to find pay dirt again. As McDonald from the shotgun. As man towards the sideline, Carlos Alvarez, a short gain. I would say Alvarez has a very strong case for Rookie of the Year, but Dallas Cowboys quarterback Ben Davis, first-round pick out of Fresno State, I think like top 5 in passing this season, probably going to win it as we swing that up for Bigsby again, not able to break the tackle this time. Gets ahead for 3, which brings up now a 3rd and 4 from the 14-yard line. McDonald going to fake for Bigsby. It's like good coverage downfield. Going to try and run as he works that outside. McDonald up the sideline again, going to find the end zone using his legs to his advantage as he finds pay dirt for the 2nd time on the ground. That's something that's been a huge point of emphasis even during his passing struggles. He has been able to make an impact with his legs. And again, we're able to work and avoid any sacks. That's been our biggest issue, is when he's decided to step up and run. He usually runs into a tackle, but not this time. He runs into the promised land with this extra point. Going to make it a 2-possession game with 7:11 remaining in this final half of play in this Year 4 season, as we can taste the postseason. Big drive now for our defense to answer, as Minnesota does go down. They get a 44-yard field goal, and I don't know why the pace was going so quick there, as we've now gone through a big chunk of this 4th quarter. Stopped there on 3rd and 3, so we are punting now, as Minnesota a chance to take the lead with a touchdown and an extra point. 2nd and 5, 17 yards for Hawkinson, and now 4 yards for Charbonnet. 2nd and 6, 11 for Goddard, as they're now into Salt Lake City territory. A first down at the 36-yard line, and it keeps like kind of glitching, and they get another 14. So now 1st and goal at the 18. They do want us to play this moment in the final 5:38 of this game. We're just going to watch the rest of this one, so now make it 5:10 as the clock was ticking. 1st and goal for Minnesota, trailing by 6. McCarthy on the drop back for the end zone. And there's a few Snowhawks there. Scruggs and Matthew Torrance able to knock that one down there. The intended target was Jordan Addison. And now 2nd down. Charbonnet the lone back. McCarthy directly under center. As Goddard, the man in motion, will get it. But Joey Bosa reading that one all the way. A big TFL for the veteran. His 2nd season as a Snowhawk. Set for free agency again here shortly. But our Snowhawks not trying to end our season quite yet, as he wants to suit up a few more times in the blue, black, and white. And now 3rd and goal. McCarthy trying to work out of harm's way, and he just runs that back deeper into it, as that's Draymond Jones, a rotational defensive lineman we've had. Brought him in back in the preseason, and he's really filled in nicely. A huge sack that time, maybe the biggest of his career, as a touchdown there from Minnesota, of course, would have made it a deficit for Salt Lake City late. And I'm assuming they go for the field goal attempt now, as that would make it a 3-point game now, less than 4 minutes here in the 4th quarter. Will Reichert, 2 for 2 so far, hit from 44 last time, this one from 42, as that one is up and good. So a 14-11 lead now for our Snowhawks, as we try to close this one out and punch our ticket to the NFL postseason. Now 3:46 left is what separates us from the postseason this season. McDonald over 4,000 passing yards for the first time, 26 passing touchdowns. I want to say like 8 to 10 on the ground, as now a chance to seal our fate in this Year 4 season. McDonald going to throw across his body, and that's going to be knocked down. Luckily, trying to get Carlos Alvarez involved there, but that's Benjamin St. Juste able to knock that one down. And now 2nd down. I thought we would start with a run that time, trying to drain some clock. Bigsby's been getting going, as we'll give him a little pitch this time. Some lead blocks trying to develop, as they do not, only 2 yards. So now 3rd and 8, and you can't afford a 3 and out here late in this game. Dontavion Wicks in motion. There's McDonald, takes the snap from the pocket, going to run again. He's being chased from behind by Greenard, and he gets ahead for the first down. McDonald now to the 48-yard line. He gets 16 there. A huge first down that extends the drive, extends the clock, as we will be able to take it into the 2-minute warning, assuming we just run it here. Approaching midfield here are the Snowhawks, trying to close out this game, punch our ticket to the postseason for the first time there for Bigsby, as he gets ahead for 4. And that does take us into the 2-minute warning, so just a couple minutes separating us from winning the division. What a crazy ride it's been if you've been following the Snowhawks franchise, especially this season alone. We were 3-6, and now sitting at the doorstep of being 10-7 as another game for Bigsby. Another good gain, gets 5, sets up 3rd and 1 as Minnesota does burn their first time out. 1:56 remaining. First down here, I feel like all but does it. As we go back for Bigsby, a big lane up the middle. Tank Bigsby breaking a tackle, running tough, and now over 100 yards for the first time this season. Our running game has been inconsistent to say the least, but he's stuck around, and in the absence of Christian McCaffrey, has really taken a stronghold of this backfield. Definitely going to be our starter, or I mean, we might add someone else. We'll see how it is in the offseason. As Vince Willis now going to just shuffle that one outside for 5, as the Vikings do burn their final timeout. And we are set to be NFC West champions. I cannot believe I am saying that as soon as this season. Only 4 years it took, and it was very bleak early on as Tank Bigsby again that time. I guess it's not officially over yet. We still need another first down, but even then, not a lot of time left for Minnesota with no timeouts remaining. Vince Willis the back here on 3rd and 4, and he will not get to give fake as McDonald going to keep it. Looking for a hat trick on the ground, but stopped at the 7-yard line, and that one is all but going to do it. McDonald, what a season it's been for you. In his 3rd season, he leads the Salt Lake City Snowhawks to a division title, as we are now out there in the victory formation. Derrick Henry, the back there, just there for intimidation at this point, as it's Tank Bigsby's backfield. But with that knee, our Salt Lake City Snowhawks are division champions. We are playoff bound, going from the 3rd pick to the 3rd seed. What a transformation season it has been for our Snowhawks. If you've been along for the ride, I really, really appreciate your viewership. After this game, we'll preview our division opponent to come. And there's Jerry Sexton, one of the building blocks on this team, a draft pick from last year's Defensive Rookie of the Year. J.J. McCarthy, one more season in Minnesota as they did pick up his 5th-year option. And Lucas McDonald, one of the top young quarterbacks in the game, going back to midseason question marks on if he's the franchise quarterback or not, but he's more than answered those question marks, and he's delivered in a huge way for Salt Lake City as we are division champs, winners in the NFC West, and we are going to be playing postseason football already here in year 4 of this expansion franchise. In this division clinching game, McDonald was 17 for 28, 173 through the air, but his main impact came on the ground for 51 yards, 2 scores. Tank Bigsby 20 for 107. What a performance he had. Carlos Alvarez 1 short of 100, as he had 8 for 99. And again, Marvin Harrison Jr. blanks, so we really got to figure out a way to get him going better in the passing game. 10 tackles for Quay Walker, 2 tackles for loss for Darius Robinson, a sack for Jones, Thompson, and Darius Robinson. No interceptions. Todd Hayes 0 for 1 on field goals, but it didn't matter in this one. And here it is, folks, the playoff tree of our year 4 season, the 2027 NFL playoffs. And we had a pretty crazy development here on the NFC as the Seahawks somehow sneak in. We beat them going back to week 17. I thought their hopes were all but done, but the Rams must have lost, the Buccaneers must have lost, and somehow the Seattle Seahawks sneak in, although they are down their starting quarterback. So Gardner Minshew is going to be starting there on the road against Detroit, but we are going to be hosting the Green Bay Packers, as we did beat them earlier in the season. We'll check out that box score here in a second, and New Orleans is going to be hosting the Dallas Cowboys over in the AFC. I think pretty much everything stood pat. Buffalo hosting Indy, Kansas City hosting Cincinnati, but I think Tennessee may have snuck in, as we'll have an AFC South matchup in the first round, and then Baltimore does hold that first round bye. And as promised, here's that box score against Green Bay. This was going back to week 11, the first game we won coming out of our bye week, which really sparked our 7-1 run to end this season. Dropped 45 on Green Bay, our best offensive showing in the season so far, as McDonald went 342, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, completed 76% compared to Jordan Love, only 47% on 51 attempts. Did throw an interception along with 2 passing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs went for 95 and a score in that game. Tank Bigsby, another very good performance, a couple touchdowns, 70 yards. McDonald also added one on the ground. Receiving Carlos Alvarez, 10 for 152 and 2 touchdowns. Really need more of the same in this one, although Romeo Doubs was very nice on the counter, over 100 for a touchdown. And Dontavion Wicks against his former team went 8 for 87, a touchdown. Tucker Kraft, also a very good game there, star tight end. As when I come over to defense, Quay Walker, another revenge game for him, as Scruggs had 10 tackles in that one at corner. Kwity Paye and Sexton, a pair of tackles for loss. Kwity Paye and Bosa had sacks for us. Nathan Scruggs, the only interception, also 3 pass deflections and 6 pass deflections in this game for our rookie safety, Dale Gilmore, as Tyler Bass was heavily utilized, 3 for 3 on field goals. So we will take a look at the Green Bay roster as well. We'll just get a little preview on what to expect in the next episode, our playoff debut. I did not see that coming this season, and like I've been harping on here, if you've been following this franchise, I don't think you saw it coming either. Now going over to the Packers, their top player is Xavier McKinney, superstar X Factor, has that run support archetype, and he's obviously just an animal back there. Has been great for the Packers since coming over from the Giants. Jair Alexander, still a superstar corner in this league, or an X Factor corner, we'll say so. Green Bay very good back there in the secondary. Josh Jacobs, one of the few 1,000-yard rushers in the NFL this season. Another X factor there at the running back position, as he's gone over 1,100 in the past 3 seasons. Now we'll just go by position. Jordan Love, one of the top quarterbacks in the game at 91 overall superstar. Take a look at his numbers this season. 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, a career high. So hopefully that lives up in the next game. Completed 66%, which is way down from his previous 3 seasons. So relatively speaking to his past production, a down year for Jordan Love, although he does post career high in passing yards. Josh Jacobs at running back along with Tyler Algier, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. A very well-balanced receiving core here, but maybe no superstar, we'll say. Tucker Kraft, good tight end. Patrick Paul at left tackle. Elgin Jenkins at left guard. Then center, very weak with Robert Hainsey and Jacob Monk. Jordan Morgan and Zach Tom. So a pretty good offensive line, especially there on the right side. Although the interior at left guard there is good, but a weak spot at center. So hopefully our D tackles can maybe get a disruption going, especially Caleb Patton. And we just saw Darius Robinson had a very good game. Rashawn Gary at D end along with Lucas Van Ness, DJ Reader, and Harrison Phillips on the interior. So defensive line, nothing special. Fred Aldridge, I think a former first-round pick here out of Oklahoma. Over 100 tackles last season with 3 sacks, but only 21 tackles this season with only 1 sack. Third-round pick going back a few years. Now kind of in a starting role, it seems. Edrin Cooper, one of the best middle linebackers in the game with Matt Milano. We saw the corners, also Eric Stokes, 80 overall, with Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney as the safety tandem. And now there's only a couple other things I wanted to get to in this episode. The first being looking at our talent tree here with head coach John Gruden, as now we have 106 points to spend. Also just brushing up on our coaching staff, Brian Callahan, first-year offensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn, first-year defensive coordinator. We've also poured in a bunch of resources here to player personnel, as we had to just take a bigger look at it. Not much on the side of trades just yet. Offensive recruitment, we of course went down the line pretty much. Defensive recruitment, kind of the same, not as much. But for this next week, we're going to go over to offensive coordinator. Kind of about mid-season, we started pouring in points here to pocket passing, some here to offensive line guru, and that really made a difference for our offense. We started performing at a much higher level. So now that the stakes are even higher here in the playoffs, I think we'll just keep following suit, and we'll start here at the quarterback side. We will boost under pressure, I think, or actually let's just look for a second. Medium accuracy, which I think definitely needs an improvement, along with short accuracy. So we'll just do both of those, give McDonald a boost in those spots, and then choose one of pocket strength, which we already have, +1 for break sack, and then throw under pressure. So again, we'll just go throw under pressure here, get that iron nerves going to even it out there. So a good boost there for our quarterback going into wild card weekend, which now leaves us with 46 more points, as we can spend another slot here on the offensive line. And we'll just go power, I guess, here for our right and left guard. So now that leaves us with 26, and I did want to spend one spot here on player personnel. Looking ahead to free agency, Jalen Carter is going to be on the market along with a couple other D tackles. So I do want to make sure we have a good shot at getting him if he does hit the market. I don't think the Eagles have the best cap space, so that's going to be 18 points on defensive tackles. And we'll just pour that into there and hopefully strengthen our chances at getting a game changer, difference maker on defense. And now just to look at Coach John Gruden's tree here, pretty even between offensive and defensive development distribution. I haven't really poured much into the coordinators. I kind of felt that it was useless, as there's always that chance that Callahan or Quinn get a head coaching job, and then all the points we spent into the improvements on their side just kind of go nil. But it has been worth it to this point. But with that being said, we're now going to close out this episode by looking at Mock Draft 3, fresh off the press. Our Snowhawks own 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. And going back to Mock Draft 1, we were projected to have the 12th pick, and then going back to Mock Draft 2, projected to have the 6th pick. So we went from having a top 12, top 10 pick to now having a pick all the way down at 24, as we have won the division, and also 26 as well. But we'll go back up and just work our way down, as the first pick now projected, the Cleveland Browns, and they're going Levi Falk, probably the top prospect on our board, but we do understand he is a little bit out of our reach. And the Browns, they do have a quarterback, Emmett Dalton, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went quarterback in this spot. And now at number 2 is A.J. Hawkins, another offensive tackle out of Alabama, to the Panthers. Another team that I think could use a quarterback. They lost Bryce Young in free agency last year to the Rams, and he hasn't even played. Signed a huge 5-year contract there. And Dakota Michaels was named the top safety at the college level this season. 6'1", 209 hybrid, 21 years old, out of Texas Tech. Athletics look pretty solid, but probably has good traits. And like I said, had that draft story on him, which usually I think bodes well for a player's development. Josh Cooper at number 4 to the Chargers. DJ Carter, number 5 to the Jags. And Kentrell Sanborn, number 6 to the Falcons. A run on D ends here, as the offensive tackle class and the pass rusher class just really strong, it seems. Will Hall, now another offensive tackle to the Patriots. Top receiver, Philip Barlow, at 8 to the Vikings. And then another tackle, another D end here to round it out, as the Giants get a wide receiver, Tyrese Gray, out of Florida State. And then Randy Lawson was projected like top 5 in the original mock draft, and he has now slipped down here to number 12 to the Jets. And Colt McCormick, one of the top prospects on our board, speed rusher out of Auburn, but he also has coverage ability, which I like. He presents a lot of versatility with A, finesse move, C, power move, along with C, man coverage, and B, pursuit. We'll see what that block shed and that zone coverage come back as. But Colt McCormick, one of my favorite prospects so far. It's rare to get one of those guys who can rush the passer and drop back into coverage. So I think he can fill the Sam role on our defense very, very well. And then at 14, a head scratcher here, Deshaun Montague out of Texas A&M. Very, very good quarterback prospect. As you see, great to elite in most of the athletic categories. But the Seahawks just drafted Byron Snow, number 1 overall, a couple drafts back. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year last season, although he did suffer an injury. I don't think it was anything major in our last episode, as we beat them in overtime. But interesting there, Deshaun Montague as the first quarterback off the board. I think on the overall national board, 3 of the top 5 prospects are quarterbacks, but we only see 1 here in the top 14. And Eric Oliver, another pass rusher, someone we haven't looked at too much, but has A, finesse move, D, block shed, power move, receiver, another tackle. And then another tackle here is George Jackson at 18 to the Titans. I mentioned Levi Falk and Colt McCormick as top prospects on our board, and right behind them is George Jackson, 6'4", 308, out of Michigan, right tackle. Not the best length, but if you look at his athletics, great to elite in 4 of the 6 categories, with good to great speed, but his strength only decent to solid. His bench press is going to reveal a lot, but the traits look very good. A in a few categories, B in a few, and then D for pass block, which you wish was a little bit better, but he does have that C for pass block power. So he can hold up as an agile lineman and then develop him a little bit as a pass protector, and I think he could be a very good guy. Maybe not at tackle, maybe more of an interior guy, but there's always that backup plan there if he doesn't work at right tackle. And then Tyrone Springs, one of my favorite prospects in the class, probably the most athletic defensive tackle, at least here in the early goings of the draft. Great to elite for acceleration, agility, and speed, with good to great strength. B, play rec and power move, with A, awareness, and that finesse move projecting at A to C. So very athletic, has the traits to match. And then Joe McGee, another D tackle I like. Probably more polished than Springs, but not as athletic. But either of them, a solid option in the first round, depending on what we do in free agency. Of course, if we sign someone like Jalen Carter, then we don't really need to go for Springs or McGee. And then Jonathan Street, one of the prospects we brought in on our super focused scouting. A natural pass rusher, C, block shed, with B, pursuit, above average athlete overall, with B, finesse move, and C, power move. So he can beat you with speed or power, and he gets off blocks well. Good pursuit, good hit power. So I think Street, a very realistic option for us at one of these picks in the mid-20s, although he does go off the board here at 21. The top tight end in the class, Quincy Richards, 22 to the Bengals. And then a surprise here, Mitchell Walker, the third D tackle in the class. He was another prospect we brought in for our super focused scouting, 6'3", 300 out of LSU. Very polished with B power move, C finesse, and block shed with A tackle. And physicals look pretty good, great to elite for speed, but that strength at decent to solid can pose a big weakness at the next level, but the traits look very, very good. So as I said about Street, I think Walker, someone we could very realistically be taking here at the end of the first round, depending on if we trade up for somebody or we trade down. We have a lot of flexibility again, and if you've seen our past NFL draft episodes, you know we like to work the board in our favor. Now, Randy Fisher is our projection here at number 24. Not projected till rounds 2 to 3, but in the mock drafts, they always kind of go a little funky based on how you have your team board assembled. But again, I mentioned a few episodes back, we're still on Madden 25 and they don't let you reorder your draft board. So you have to just go back, take everyone off the board, and then reassemble it in the order that you want. But Randy Fisher had a draft story on him earlier in the season. It said that UCLA had him playing out of position at nose tackle, but he was still excelling with A block shed, C power move, D finesse move, so pretty solid there with great to elite strength. And even though it says he's a right end, someone we would move to D tackle in our scheme, A play rack, block shed, B awareness, already has a veteran savvy to him with A to B for hit power and impact block. So Randy Fisher is someone I definitely like on day 2, but if he tests really well, maybe we even take him as high as the late first round. Another guy here that is a D end in college, but a D tackle in our scheme, Josh Boyce. Pretty similar to Fisher, maybe even more refined traits-wise, but maybe not as athletic, although he does have a higher projection as a round 1 to 2 projection compared to Fisher, who's round 2 to 3. And then at 26, the old fullback here, projected UDFA, but Randy Clark. If you look at his physicals, he's great to elite in 3 categories, good to great in the others. Not much unveiled traits-wise, but someone I just threw on our board as a potential UDFA to compete for a fullback spot, as we do utilize the fullback position quite a bit in our scheme. And at 6 foot 256, a very good athlete, might pose as a nice weapon for us, but I don't know if we're picking him at number 26 as much as we like fullbacks. I think Josh Terry would really appreciate that. If you're familiar with the Marquette dynasty we had on the channel, which may see a reboot here soon. I have definitely been thinking about it. Deion Allen, safety at Ohio State to the Colts. Ladarius James, wide receiver to the Chiefs. Daniel Weary, someone I also like, top cornerback on the board. A very weak class there, but traits-wise very good. Has great to elite for strength. Solid otherwise as an athlete, nothing overpowering. His 40 time will really dictate a lot on him, but very good traits. And someone I could see filling our slot corner position, which we do need. Another wide receiver here towards the end to the Lions. And the Super Bowl matchup projection is the Baltimore Ravens against the Philadelphia Eagles. Landon Baptiste again projected to the Eagles, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. And then a speed rusher here, someone we might consider, J.J. Townsend out of Tennessee. Pure edge guy in this class, not an off-ball linebacker. A to C finesse move projection, C to F power move with C block shed, A awareness. So projects to be a decent guy with some of these pass rushers towards the end. Going to have to see how they test along with some of the defensive backs and defensive linemen. But I think we've done a really good job scouting this season, and the combine is going to reveal a lot, as well as free agency at what our draft strategy is going to be. But a lot of flexibility with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 third-round picks. So we're sitting pretty with 6 picks in the top 96, as you'll certainly want to tune back for that off-season episode, as we're going to be busy in free agency and busy on draft day as well. But this is where I'm going to leave you, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We secured our first division title, our first playoff spot in this franchise. I cannot believe it. Finishing the season 7-1, as we're going to take on the Green Bay Packers from Salt Lake Stadium next time out. I hope you tune back and follow along with this 2027 playoff run, as hopefully it lasts more than 1 game. But as always, everybody, it's been real, and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.